To know and understand literature is to know and understand our own history, culture, and the development of the country's creative and literary tradition. In most countries, reading and nurturing an appreciation for literature and the literary tradition is an important part of school education. Studying novels, plays, and poetry helps school children develop a critical mind and foster a love of literature and a good reading habit. Things that we rarely see in this country's school curriculum, where literature is often not taught as a separate subject, but as part of the Indonesian language study, thus depriving the students the opportunity to study and appreciate each work of literature in depth. Oh look, there's a missile.
Come see my torpedo. Yes, this is by Nindityo Adi Pranomo from Jogja.
It's lovely, and it's made entirely out of shampoo bottles.
Yes, trash from the rivers.
Yeah, it's a good way of recycling, you know. So.
Yeah, but how many torpedoes can you have?
I'm interested. I mean, it's great that somebody like you are interested in translating Indonesian literature, bringing Indonesian stories and history and culture to the world. Now, I know for a fact that reading is not one of Indonesians' sort of most favorite activities, and interest in literature and in reading in general is probably not as high in some other countries. Now, does that bother you? I mean, do you see there is a sort of a gap in what it is that you're trying to do and in the way that we Indonesians, how we appreciate our...
I mean, it bothers me incredibly that Indonesians in general do not recognize the importance of the role that literature plays in nation building, in fact. I mean, even the government for years did not have Indonesian literature in the curriculum of schools in this country. I mean, it's as if an Indonesian person is born and all of a sudden he or she is supposed to know the proper way to speak Indonesian and the proper way to write Indonesian. That doesn't happen. It has to be taught. And until you have a good educational system where from kindergarten on up, people are being taught how to read properly and to write properly, you're not going to change the situation.
And appreciating Indonesian writers.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, the impact in the country is not that, in fact, is not that direct. But we hope it's going to be a kind of a circle. If we get more appreciation from abroad, Indonesians themselves will begin to see, oh, wow, there is something to be said about that.
Having said that, you know, Lontar has been around for 25 years. Do you see that there is an increase in interest in Indonesian literature and what's coming out of
Oh, very much so, very much so. I mean, when we started the foundation, there was no interest, basically. And we have worked almost single-handedly in that last 25 years. There are several publishers abroad and in Indonesia who have brought out English translations as well, but Lontar is the only one whose true focus is Indonesian literature and translation. We were stymied for years by the high cost of distribution. It was impossible for us to distribute our books abroad. But now with changes in print...
So the shipping costs.
Yeah, shipping costs. It would cost as much to ship a book to the States, for example, as it did as the retail price. So nobody could afford it. But now with changes in print-on-demand technology, so that we bring out a book and we upload it to Lightning Source around the world, who works with Amazon, and you can order it in the United States or Europe or Australia and get it 2 days later for the same price that it's sold here in Indonesia.
It's amazing what
It's
technology
amazing.
can do. You can do remote printing.
Yes,
So you can
exactly.
actually order, this is the book that I want, and you can, you know, get it printed, just one or two copies. But when you, how would you devote your time on these days if you're not translating?
Fundraising.
Fundraising. Is that still difficult after 25 years?
Completely. It's never changed. It has not changed. It's not changed. I mean, I would have thought that, you know, the more high profile you get, the easier it would be to get more funding, but it's not the case. I mean, one problem is the tax laws in this country do not permit write-offs. You know, they do for sports. You can give money to sports and get a tax write-off, but not for literature.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
So are you not getting any kind of incentive or support from the government?
Not a single rupiah, unfortunately.
How does that make you feel? I mean, because after all, what you are doing is actually something extremely positive for the country.
It's frustrating in the sense that I think Lontar is bringing a lot of value added out, and we've invested over the years. You know, I can't say how many millions of dollars over 25 years that has gone into developing Indonesian literature, and we're at a point now where, with just a little more funding, we could get the production ball rolling and bring out more and more things. And I think Indonesia has something to say, deserves a place on the world literary stage, and but support is needed.
But what kind of support do you think would be extremely useful?
Well, financial, obviously. A book of translation costs about 20% more than a regular book does to produce, and that's why very few publishers will bring out translations, because there's absolutely no money to be made. And that's where Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, Iceland, Vietnam, they all have translation incentive programs. Indonesia is the 4th largest country in the world. The Indonesian literature, I mean, if you start talking about Malay, goes back to the 7th century, which is far, precedes most Western literatures. You had a huge literary, culture that's being completely ignored by the world and unfortunately, by many Indonesians themselves.
Okay, well, let's take a look at some of these books. We keep saying we're going to take a look at your office.
We'll show you our books.
It's so difficult to leave this house.
My office is only 200 meters away.
Okay.